right, and welcome to Fast Break Breakfast NBA podcast. My name is Keith Parrish, and I'm here once again with my buddy through the miracle of computer phone. Here with Dave DeFore, New Year's Eve, Dave DeFore. Dave, how's it going?
Fantastic. Are you a New Year's guy? Do you guys do any? I mean, I know you have kids. So
New Year's guy.
Having kids gets you out of plans for New Year's, but like, do you guys watch the ball drop?
No,
okay.
I haven't watched the ball drop in a while. There's a local watering hole that's having a 4 p.m. ball drop for families, but we're actually not going. We considered
I was just about to complain about a 4 p.m. dinner reservation.
We do. No, it's a ball drop. It's like a hangout with like a ball drop for kids and families. No, we do things, but they're done early. Yeah. For the last several years, like we don't go to big fancy parties. We go to like a friend's house or have people over, and we're talking like 12 total people, 6 adults, 6 children. And by 9, it's like, yo, we are out. Everyone, we're going home.
Right.
So that's what's happening tonight. Right now, I'm actually prepping because we decided to not go to the ball drop because, frankly, it was too early. I don't want to start doing things at 4. I need a narrow window of entertainment. 6 to 8 is what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
So now we're trying to figure out food issues, and this actually brings me to a big pet peeve of mine. I want to know about your New Year's Eve habits, but before, Dave, this really gets my goat.
Okay.
When the per unit food pricing or any pricing, when the per unit doesn't reflect the volume, like if the number increases, the price doesn't go down.
Yeah.
This is like you see the 6-pack of beer and it's $10 and then the 12-pack's $21. And you're like, right. It's cheaper to buy 2 6-packs. What's happening here? Right now I'm looking at food because we're not going to make anything. We're like, let's just pick up some like chicken tenders from a place or some chicken wings from a place. And I'm looking at these per unit prices. There's no price break between 6, 12, 18, 24. It's all the same.
Mm-hmm.
That gets my goat, Dave.
I bet they change it for nights like this where they're like, you know what?
Oh, let's just change it.
They're gonna buy it anyway. Let's just raise those prices.
There was one.
Everything kind of sucks.
There used to be one, real expensive pizza spot near us where the wing pricing was just didn't make any sense.
Yeah,
and they had weird quantities. It was like you want 5, 8, 10, 16. And you're like, you can walk in and be like, I'll take 12 wings.
Prime number.
They're like, we don't do 12. And then I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, it's cheaper to get 2 5s than to get an 8. And they're like, they just stared at me.
Corporate. Corporate probably.
Not
right?
my problem. Yeah. But that's where I'm at now. But Dave, no, what are you? Are you a New Year's Eve guy? I'm guessing no.
No. I don't. No. It's just a day. We're switching the month. Right. Oh, I'm a New Year's guy because I have to update everything to 2025. I use the date too much,
Oh yeah. You got to update your
I have a 4
checkbook ledger
reservation.
Okay.
4 o'clock dinner reservation.
That's 6 p.m. Central. Sounds fine.
Yeah. Okay. That kind of screws up my whole day.
Well, why did you do it? Are you hanging out?
Do it.
Okay.
I'm just kind of involved in it and inertia. It's sort of a thing. And
now, what do you do there? Do you not eat? You're not a big lunch guy, though.
No. Normally, I have a pretty big lunch because I'll go to I'll go to the gym. I'll work out. I'll have a pretty big lunch, and now I have to I don't know. I'm either gonna not eat a big lunch or
that's weird.
Wait until 4, and so now and it's Tuesday. It's not like it's a Friday or a Saturday where if I do some weird stuff, I don't have to think about the next day. No, I have to be able to function normally the rest of the week. So this 4 o'clock dinner reservation is really throwing me off. I don't know.
It's throwing me off.
A cancellation, but
an 8 p.m. Grizzlies game. What? New Year's Eve. It's like, I'm probably not gonna watch. I might watch.
I'll be honest.
I'll look on my phone, probably see what the score is.
I mean, the first game, the first game's starting here in a few hours.
No, we got to wrap this show up. There's games on.
And this is the first time I'm looking at today's schedule. I'll say that right now.
Yeah.
Just live right here. This is the first time I've looked. I don't have to work tonight. So
I think I was looking at some fantasy basketball rosters, managing all my mini leagues. and I was looking at a thing and I'm like, wait, the Pacers play at 2? What's going on? And it took me a second to be like, New Year's Eve. That makes sense. Meanwhile, the Grizzlies are playing at 8 my time.
Man, Wolves Thunder is going to be good.
Yeah. 4 p.m. dinner. That's tough. Although I'll say, Dave, I'm kind of a peer pressure eater. I can go with the flow.
Yeah.
If it's 4 and people are just ordering and eating, I'm like, you know what? Fine. I'm ordering a whole meal. And then once I get going, I'm just like, I put it down. I'm like, well, I didn't think I was ready for a 4 o'clock dinner.
To be fair, we're going to like a Mediterranean restaurant.
Tapas?
Great place. No, not tapas, but I'm going to eat like hummus and I'll have, they've got a really great lentil bowl.
Yeah.
So like heavy food.
It sounds like you needed to plan your breakfast based on what time you're eating dinner today.
I did
you, Dave? What did you have for breakfast? Did you eat your oatmeal earlier or later than normal? How'd you try to stretch it?
I ate it a little bit earlier.
Okay.
And I mixed it up a little bit. I had some dates and some pumpkin seeds with
the dates. You're just getting it Mediterranean all day theme.
I just happen to have them in the house. I do love dates, but mix the date into the oatmeal with the pumpkin.
Wait, just a date, or did you chop it up, dice it up?
Yeah. So I just used a fork and just mashed it.
Okay, I thought you did it like the king cake baby. You're just gonna like you hid a date in your oatmeal, and it's I got it. There it was.
No, I'm gonna do oatmeal stuffed dates. That'll be the next move.
That sounds like something you would definitely order at a fancy restaurant. My breakfast had some stale Munchkin donuts from Dunkin' Donuts. So my son did it overnight with the in-laws yesterday, and they always take him to Dunkin' Donuts, and these things were horrible. And I was like, I asked my son, I'm like, do you want these? They're left over. He's like, no, they taste bad. They're stale. This is like that's a 10-year-old saying a donut is stale, which is like, I didn't know you had such nuance in your palate.
But it's true. Fair, yeah. You guys eat a lot of donuts. I think he knows.
He turns out I raised the donut connoisseur.
He's like a donut sommelier, right?
Yeah. So, and I'm like, yeah, these are disgusting. I'm like, when did you guys get these? And he's like, we bought them yesterday. And I'm like, Dunkin' Donuts gave you some disgusting, like many days old donuts.
Oh, these were Dunkin'.
Yeah, these are Dunkin'. Did I not say that? Yeah.
These are Dunkin' Donuts. Aren't they stale when you buy them? Isn't that like the thing?
I don't know. This goes back to what you said earlier. Everything's bad now. I went to one of my favorite restaurants yesterday, ordered a pretty basic chicken sandwich, and it was not as good. And I was like, oh no, did they change food providers? Like, this is my place I just go to, like a nice kind of mid-tier. Everything's always good. Service is great. Atmosphere is great. Food's always good. And this was like, wait, this is not as good as it used to be. And it had like some coleslaw on the sandwich that felt like you didn't make this coleslaw. So all of a sudden, everything's a little bit worse, Dave. Happy New Year. Those were our breakfasts. After our breakfast,
it'll self-correct. Don't worry.
Yeah, sure.
It'll be fine. Self-correct.
Yeah, things will eventually get better, right? After our breakfast, we move to our breakfast in bed apologies. This is my chance to make right what I got wrong on a previous episode. It's frequently the first time we talk about the NBA, which the show is about. No big apology, but I do feel like we should recognize something we said. Our last episode was about 12 days ago. We did also, first of all, apology to the listener. We did intend to record before Christmas. Dave, you even texted, you're like, we're recording tomorrow. I'm like, yeah. And you were ready to go. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing it. My kids are home from school.
You said you're going to play with your kids.
I play with my kids. Maybe my wife was like, hey, your kids are never going to be better. Like your son at some point, not going to want to talk to you anymore. She's like,
no, you won't get
maybe
there.
not. You know, she's like your daughter will not always adore you. So your kids are home. You could just play with your kids all day. I'm like, that sounds amazing. So I can't.
Do you guys have a trampoline?
No.
You seem like the type.
No, because my wife works in medicine and knows trampolines are death traps.
To be fair, okay, that's true. Okay,
yeah.
All right.
She's like, everyone's like, yeah, so and so shattered their elbow. It's like, what was it? Trampoline? Yeah, of course. No trampolines are allowed. My kids are allowed to smoke, just not trampoline. No, I'm kidding. No, we've had an amazing break, having a lot of fun with my kids. Right now, I feel bad that they're watching TV upstairs and I'm doing this show, but there is some, I don't know. I also feel not burdened. I feel committed to the listeners. I have Patreon supporters. By the way, shout out to the newest Patreon supporters. We got Mike, we got Tom, who stepped up in a big way. I really appreciate you guys, and that's why we're doing these shows. Also, wait, one more. Eric H just signed up, and Harrison Freeland just signed up. So thank you guys for supporting.
Hot on the heels of our last podcast.
They were excited about the last podcast. Also got an email, Dave, saying our last podcast was our best ever. They felt like you and I finally hit our stride.
8 years in.
Which is pretty great. No, apologies for no show last week. I was making sure I was doing a reverse Cats in the Cradle. I was playing with my kids. Also apology. In that last show 12 days ago, we did predict one thing very incorrectly.
Yeah.
We both were rather convinced Karl Anthony Towns' first game against the Timberwolves, or going back to Minnesota,
was going to be a dud.
We thought it was going to be a dud. We thought the Timberwolves were going to take it to him, and he wasn't built for this. We could not have been more wrong. He had a 30-20 game. He basically broke the spirit of the Timberwolves. It took them, I felt like the Timberwolves, a solid week to get over that domination. Timberwolves fans still not okay. They're all very, very upset. We were
super wrong.
Couldn't have been more wrong.
Karl Anthony Towns, by the way.
Really good.
You got him on your MVP list yet?
Yeah.
He's honestly just crushing.
I have him tied for 5th.
Yeah. He had a lot of, look, the rim protection stuff is funny, and he's bad at it. But he had some awful luck there too. Like, you know what I mean? Like some just trying to help too much. And I think that's stabilized a little bit. But what he's doing offensively, I mean, he's just insane.
I feel like I'm having trouble with a lot of these stats, like rim protection stats. Like if they support, this is basically all stats. If it supports my argument, I'm in.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'm like,
too.
It's a team sport.
Right.
I'm even falling out of favor. I mean, I know net
points
rating
per game, overrated.
Well, of course, for players and for teams.
Yeah.
But like net rating stuff, even that, because like a lot has been made about the fact that like the Kings have a +1 net rating, yet we're somehow 13-18 when they fired Mike Brown. And you're like, well, they have the point differential of an 18-13 team. Meanwhile, the Lakers have a negative point differential. And I know results of NBA games, there's always going to be some variation. And people are like, let's just look at the point differential. Then I look at like the Grizzlies, who have like a +10 net rating, which is like historic. And I'm like, I don't think they're very good. They're like, they beat the socks off of all bad teams. Right. But it's like, I still doubt. So I don't know. I'm a little shaky on a lot of these things we use to measure. All I'm saying is, Dave, I'm going full bore. I'm going full bore into eye test guy. Just eye test guy now. Oh, the Trailblazers.
Stathead is going to be very upset.
Yesterday I wore my Basketball Reference t-shirt. Thank you, Basketball Reference, for sending me a t-shirt. No, like Trailblazers have a -10 net rating on the season. Who cares? They won 11 games. Let's go. Trailblazers. We can build on this. No, what were we talking about? Yeah, I'm getting out of stats. No, Karl Anthony Towns has been great. Of course I think he's an MVP candidate. The Knicks have been crushing teams. The Knicks, like, don't look now. What are they, like 23-10, 20, something like that? Yeah. They've been winning all their games. Let's take a quick break, Dave. I need to gather my thoughts. Let's come back and then we'll talk about some of the best things we've observed, or some of the worst things we've observed over the past 12 days. We'll do it right after this. All right, Dave. So Karl Anthony Towns had an amazing game in the last 12 days. Of course, many other players did as well. The one game, maybe there's two. Okay, 2 games. I'm going to say 2 things that happened in the last 12 days, extremely notable to me personally. You tell me what's more amazing. Wemby had a 30-10 game with blocks.
Mm-hmm.
Colin Sexton had a 30-10 game, turnovers. I tell you, only one of those do I wish I got a text in the middle of the night letting me know it happened. and it's the Colin Sexton 10 turnover game.
That's amazing. How is that for negative fantasy?
Not great because he made a lot of shots. It actually would take me a while to look up too, to hunt him down. He is he's a horrible negative fantasy player because he has great percentages. He's a very efficient scorer, and those 10 turnover games are rare. But like, I want to say because of the break, I mean, I'm still watching NBA every night. Because my kids are asleep. That's my excuse. But I didn't find out about the Colin Sexton 10 turnover game. Like, it was like 5 days afterwards. And I was like, why is no one talking about this? Why is this not on my timeline? Why is Inside the NBA? Why aren't Ernie and Shaq joking about this? Meanwhile, 10 blocks, everybody's like, hey, did you see what happened? So like, I felt very sad that it took me like 5 days to find out that Colin Sexton had a 10 turnover game. It's amazing.
I'm just finding out. It happened during the break. Yeah.
I broke the news to you. Yeah.
It happened in a forest.
Yeah. So I thought that was a little bit amazing. By the way, Wembanyama we knew he would, but he's up to 4 blocks per game. So now he enters this rarefied company, averaging 25 points per game, over 10 rebounds.
If guys would shoot against him, it would be 10 blocks a game, but they just don't shoot anymore, Keith.
The only downside to me with this stat, I've seen this stat pulled out, and it's like the only players to average 25, 10, and 4 blocks. And I don't have them all. I know one was Olajuwon, but another one was Patrick Ewing. And I'm not a big Patrick Ewing guy. So that kind of made that was a little bit of a detractor for me.
Yeah.
What year was that?
Fans. What year was that?
Again, this is all top of the dome. I don't have 88? This in front of me. I would guess it would be even earlier, but maybe not.
Yeah.
This is before I was watching him all the time. Man. Yeah.
Yeah. So like,
I remember too much of his finals dismantling where blowing the layup against the Pacers, and then the way Olajuwon just torched him and his horrible shooting percentages in that series. So like, truthfully, I was not watching. I didn't have League Pass when I was 9, for the late 80s when you
I watched that finals at Disney.
Oh, interesting.
And the OJ case.
Yeah. Here's another thing I want to ask you, Dave. So the Thunder been on a tear. The Bucks, since the NBA Cup, well, they've had some illness. Maybe Lillard and Giannis got sick in Vegas. A couple of things. So Thunder and Bucks. First of all, Bucks. Can we call this a post-Cup swoon?
They win the Cup record-wise.
Yeah, and their record's not very good. They've been losing. I mean, I know Lillard's been in and out of the lineup. Middleton's been cooking now that Giannis isn't, ball hogging. I kid. But so a little bit of a post-Cup swoon, possibly. Is there going to be any future ramifications if the Bucks, let's say they lose, 2 of their next 3 or something?
I mean, we've already had a coach fired, so the seal's been broken. No, I don't know. It's tough, man. I think you get thrown out of your rhythm a little bit, maybe as an older team, especially.
Yeah,
having that time in Vegas might have messed them up, but also they got sick. Look, and definitely not COVID, right? Like no one in the NBA catches COVID anymore. It's kind of amazing. I wish we got that vaccine out here, but I don't know. I think the last week for a few teams, you kind of got to just say, ooh, I don't know how to judge this. I mean, Lakers got sick, Warriors got sick from their Christmas Day, hangout. So I don't know. I don't think the Bucks. Yeah, it's a swoon, but
so
you can kind of like you can pencil whip it away. You can say, okay, here's why.
So right after their Cup win, where maybe if they celebrated, they would have been a little looser coming out.
Maybe
maybe a little bit too tense. No release, no celebration. They got destroyed by the Cavaliers. We should talk about them in a second because they're incredible. They got destroyed by the Cavaliers right after the Cup. Then Giannis and Lillard started missing some games. They did beat the Wizards, Bobby Portis game. They did beat the Bulls, but then after that, they lost to the Nets. Post trades, they lost to the Nets. They lost to the Bulls. Now they're coming up. They got the Pacers today in just a couple hours. So I don't know. Maybe it's a swoon.
Is it a hangover? Hangover?
I don't. All right.
Well, it's not a hangover because they didn't party.
They didn't party. So meanwhile, the Thunder. All right, the Thunder.
What they won? 10 straight?
So they've won 11 straight, but I don't feel like I can't say that. I can't say they won 11 straight, Dave, because they lost.
They lost an exhibition.
It wasn't an exhibition.
11 straight regular season games.
Yeah, you're allowed to say one of two things. You're allowed to say the Thunder have won 11 straight regular season games. You cannot say they've won 11 straight. You can't. You can say they've won 11 straight regular season games, or you can say they've won 11 straight, not counting the NBA Cup. Yeah,
they lost.
I can't be happy. I mean, I know they just beat down my Grizzlies by 35 points, and Shea looked like the best player I've ever seen in my life in that game. But
he moved to number 1 on the MVP odds.
MVP ladder?
Yeah.
I'm not opposed. I mean, I'm a Jokic man, but Shea was so ridiculously good in that one specific game. He's put together these 40-point games. I mean, I don't know. I guess the Nuggets have lost too many. I'm still a Jokic guy, I guess, in the MVP race. But every time I watch a Thunder game and they're so hot right now, they've won 9 straight. No, they haven't. you gotta extend that sentence is all I'm saying. You have to extend that sentence. Not trying to take anything away from the Thunder. Best team in the West by a mile. They're not going to play a meaningful game after March 15. I don't think they're going to be they're going to be 8 games up, 9 games up by then.
I mean, this is a team that should be thinking about, do we want to go for 70?
The true 70 team is the Cavaliers, who are on pace to win 72. Right. They're 28-4. No, but seriously, before we go to the Cavaliers, the Thunder, their defense is incomprehensibly better than everybody else's. The statistical variation, they're something like 10 points better than league average. And that's never happened before since we tracked this. So their defense is that good and they're still bad at rebounding, and they're going to get Chet Holmgren back. It's been really incredible. Meanwhile, the Cavaliers, they've won many in a row. No caveat needed to that sentence. Statement. They've won them all by double digits. And now Cavaliers, Dave, the chase for 70. What say you?
I mean, I think that they're built to do it.
Yeah.
I don't see why not. But I also think Oklahoma City can do it. I mean, they're 26-5 right now. Could be 27-5 before the new year.
Yeah. So they've also lost 6 times. I mean,
wait, 26-5? Oh,
they lost in the cup.
They lost 6. You're right.
No. Yeah, they could
add another loss column.
They're a team that is so. I feel like the Cavaliers. The Cavaliers, of course, have their alpha guy in Donovan Mitchell, but I feel like their burden is more diffuse. It's spread about.
Well, think about the game against the Warriors yesterday. Yeah. Darius Garland was the guy in the first half cooking the Warriors.
Yeah.
But they held the Warriors to 11 points in the second quarter.
Yeah. It was amazing. I feel like the Thunder, they need to be thinking more about how many games are we giving Shea off and Chet off and Jalen Williams off and Hartenstein off. And because of that, I can't imagine them actually chasing 70. Meanwhile, the Cavs, it's they could rotate guys in and out. They could be like, Karis LeVert, you're playing 32 minutes tonight.
Right. Give us 25
Sam Merrill,
minutes.
it's your game. It's your game. Max Strus, go shoot tonight. Georges Niang, you're going to play 35 minutes. They're really deep and they're just spreading it out. Ty Jerome had moments where it's is this guy most improved player? And that's just when he was getting 25 minutes a game. And now it's he's not even
5 steals a night.
Now he's not even playing. It's his true shooting is what? So I do feel like the Cavaliers, and of course the conference is garbage, although the East has caught up. The East had a winning record. They're catching up at least. Right. I believe it's a 55% win percentage for the West right now against the East. But I do think the Cavaliers, it would be surprising to me if they don't clear 60. They'd have to make a big detour to not clear 60 the way things are going. I was considering, Dave, in my secret power rankings, because my power rankings for me are all about who's most likely to win the title. And I just had the Celtics stuck there. But at what point do I say, no, the Cavaliers look like the best team? Celtics keep losing games. And I know the Celtics are actually shuffling guys in and out of the lineup, And so because of that, you're like, all right, maybe it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Celtics don't care if they lose, like 4 out of 7 or something. They're all about getting that chip. Dave, we should probably talk about maybe the biggest podcast news, just a trade. I mean, here we are talking about good. Here we are
talking about a podcast.
No, here we are talking about. We're talking about good teams. Meanwhile, the Lakers made a trade. That should have been the A block.
Yeah, they got better.
I am excited about this trade, though.
Yeah.
What if you told somebody? What if you emerged from a coma from 3 years ago, and you're like, "Hey, the Lakers traded 3 second-round picks and D'Angelo Russell for Dorian Finney-Smith."
Again?
Like,
yeah. It's a really good trade for them. When you mentioned the Kings and the Lakers earlier with the differential, go into your eye test thing. When I watch the Lakers, it feels like the Lakers are a better team than when I watch the Kings. And this is a move to me that, like, hey, they feel the same way. Dorian Finney-Smith is going to plug right in. I think they're going to bring him off the bench to start. But
yep, that's what they said.
3-and-D guy that's not Taurean Prince.
Taurean Prince has been playing pretty well. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out exactly where Dorian Finney-Smith is going to fit into the Lakers rotation. So I thought maybe initially they're like, let's move Rui to the bench. But apparently, like you said, they've already said Dorian Finney-Smith is coming off the bench. He might be slightly overrated as a defender, but he's just a good, solid player, good 3-point shooter with size. I think a lot has been made about JJ Redick's public comments of him years ago when he was in the media, when he wasn't the coach of the Lakers, talking about how much he loved Dorian Finney-Smith. So like that part of it's pretty cool. I don't know if it's a big ceiling mover for the Lakers. I think they're pretty good. And now they got Dorian Finney-Smith and he's better.
He's a floor booster though.
Yeah, probably so. I mean, he's better than Cam Reddish, and like those kinds of guys who were getting a lot of minutes. Like he's better than Dalton Connect, even though I still want to see Dalton Connect get used a lot. Yeah. My biggest holdup, if I don't love it for the Lakers, is I feel like three of their 4 best players, LeBron and AD, but then I think Rui Hachimura is maybe their 4th best player. And maybe the fit is better with Dorian Finney-Smith, but then so I prefer making a 5-man lineup that I adore, where it's like Austin Reeves and AD and LeBron and Dorian Finney-Smith and who?
Yeah, Dorian Finney-Smith over Rui, yeah, for sure. And
then who's the 5th? Who's the 5th?
I think Max Christie is going to be the 5th. I mean, Max Christie has been able to play 2 ways, and that's what they've been looking for. This is the thing about Dorian Finney-Smith that you don't have to worry about, with him that you do with Rui, is that Dorian Finney-Smith is going to be a 3-and-D guy, and he's going to play D, and he's going to hit shots, and he's going to shoot threes. The thing with Rui is I wonder if eventually he can come off the bench. He's probably going to be traded, but if he could come off the bench and just give you some scoring juice off the bench, almost kind of like the way the Warriors were using Jonathan Kuminga for a little while, and you can just get him involved with, whoever, like maybe it's Shake Milton off the bench as your point guard. I mean, I don't know, but to me, like Rui, that's an easy decision to make to replace Rui in the starting lineup with Dorian Finney-Smith. It's more the internal dynamics of it. Now, I think they've got time to figure it out because, again, this is a nice floor raiser for them. They get a guy who is like, they've got a top 8 now that can really play. Cam Reddish, again, it's the same roster that they've had for years, and they were expecting different results where it's swing to Cam Reddish in the corner.
Yeah.
And now you've got Dorian Finney-Smith. That's a huge upgrade.
Yeah. When you compared the Lakers to the Kings, as we keep doing, I feel sad about the Kings trade for DeMar DeRozan not working. Yeah. And it seems so obvious now. Like I wanted to believe that it would work because I just enjoy watching DeMar DeRozan so much.
He's great.
But just watching the Kings and being like, yeah, if DeMar DeRozan was Dorian Finney-Smith or Harrison Barnes, A lot of their offensive possessions would look a lot better. And I don't know if Doug Christie is going to change things there. DeRozan's minutes have been a little bit down the past couple of games, but like, I feel like DeRozan has so much clout league wide that like, just in the locker room where it feels hard to do. And I don't know.
They need a center though, man. Like, I mean, Domantas Sabonis is really the problem. Like, it's just their defensive floor is too low. I mean, this is the Kings have a top 10 offense.
Yeah.
They can't guard.
Yeah.
And somehow, I don't know. We're going to rehash this Mike Brown thing for months.
So the other thing about the Dorian Finney-Smith trade is that's not a big cost. Like the Lakers.
No.
I mean, I feel like they're going to miss D'Angelo Russell. I know.
Oh, they need a ball handler. They need a playmaker.
They need a scorer and a shooter.
Be able to do it.
So I can't depend on Shake because I thought he was a great signing for the Timberwolves 2 years ago, and he was useless. Like put in a spot where he was actually needed, he was useless. So now he has that chance again, put in that spot where he's actually needed. From the Nets side of things, but I was saying, it didn't cost anything. Like 3 second round picks, fine,
sure, nothing.
And expiring D'Angelo Russell, okay. Maybe D'Angelo Russell has no value, but that part of it is interesting to me. Like for the Nets, a lot has been made in my orbit, in my Grizzlies world. It's like the Nets turned down the Grizzlies 25th pick, 2025 pick. And I'm like, that's the 25th pick. Who cares? Yeah. Also, D'Angelo Russell, I think still has value. I mean, maybe not, but like they got 3 seconds and the expiring D'Angelo Russell from the Grizzlies side of it. They were trying to salary dump John Conchar and pick up seconds coming back. Meanwhile, the Nets, they now have gotten 9 seconds for Dennis Schroeder, Royce O'Neal, and Dorian Finney-Smith. That's not bad. I mean,
that's how the Cavs started rebuilding their asset collection after LeBron left. Jump in on all these trades, try to pick up as many seconds as you can. And if you get first, it's great. But also think about the salary slot that having a first round pick locks you into. If you get the 25th pick, that's way more expensive than if you have the 35th. And guess what?
Which, by the way, Dave, is literally why the Grizzlies wanted to trade the 25th pick.
Yes.
They want to
They don't want to spend that money.
They hit home runs or doubles with their second round picks. They want cheaper salaries.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the Nuggets do the same thing. It's why they covet those second round picks. They'd rather send it first. Yep. And I just think that, Brooklyn has an opportunity with D'Angelo Russell. There's a lot of teams that could use D'Angelo Russell, and he's expiring. I mean, like, you're telling me that with all the injuries that Orlando has dealt with, they wouldn't maybe.
You can't touch. Orlando's magical.
Yeah,
and I say that on purpose. But like they have a culture. They are we don't care who plays. What do you mean theoretically?
Well, theoretically, a team like Orlando, somebody would take D'Angelo Russell, I think, to just give him an extra ball handler off the bench. His salary is it's gone after this season. Now cap space doesn't mean anything anymore. Yeah. So it's not like teams really focus that much on that, but he's still a rotation player and he's a ball handler and they just don't grow on trees. So I'm with you, man. I don't think they're going to get like a first round pick, but what if they got another second?
Zeke, Najee, Dario Saric, and Deron Holmes.
There you go.
I don't think I'm not sure the math adds up totally.
I don't know if D'Lo works in Denver.
But
Orlando reasons.
What obviously makes sense. I mean, you can't take away
Minnesota. What about Minnesota?
Exactly. That's the obvious one where it's like a reunion for the Timberwolves.
Can we make things worse?
Can we have D'Angelo Russell and Julius Randle on the same team? But it feels like they kind of need something. They need a boost there. The Nets, are they now not too competitive again?
No, listen, man. Okay, they're gonna have to trade Jordy Fernandez, I think, because they were in it against Orlando the other day. I mean, they lost, on a Cole Anthony game winner, but they're just tough. They're really well coached, and they play hard. They also have too many guys still, Keith.
I mean, they got to do
fun, man. They're fun. I honestly just for a second.
Yep.
What if Brooklyn had been the team what if they kept their team together and they were trying to trade for the team that they started the year with, this fun team, the play-in team?
No.
You don't think they could have maybe
No, that would have been horrible. It would have fallen apart.
This team? Yeah, no. They would have made the play-in if they kept this team together.
By the way, updating the Kyrie Irving to the Nets-Mavericks trade. Dave, the Nets traded Kyrie Irving. They sent him to the Mavs. They got back a 2029 unprotected first, 5 second-round picks, and D'Angelo Russell. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good haul.
That's not bad.
I also like how the price has gone down because much like, I don't know why this doesn't work in American economy. In the oligarch world where 9 people control 7% of the nation's wealth. So like the Thunder, the Thunder, Jazz, and Pelicans like hold all the picks. And maybe who's the other team? Is the Rockets? Like all the teams are controlled. All the like something like 35% of the first round picks are controlled by a few teams. So now teams looking to get off of guys, they can't trade them for first. There's no firsts available anymore.
Yeah.
And it's the Grizzlies offering garbage firsts. And then, so now the Nets are like, listen, we'll take second round picks. So the price has gone down for like, you want a Jonas Valanciunas? You want a Malcolm Brogdon? You want whoever, Kyle Kuzma? Bitcoin. Yeah. So hopefully we might see a lot of trades if that's the case. We'd see more if so many of these teams weren't locked at the first apron, which still is not fun. I would love to see.
And I'm anti-player movement. Like, I'm not into player movement. I think it's actually generally been bad. And even I think that this new CBA is pretty awful for the NBA.
Yeah. Going back to the Kings. So they finally won a game. They're still, I don't know. Vibes are bad. Mike Brown got fired.
They complain about every call.
Well, every team.
I mean, but
show me a team that does not.
It's Luka Doncic level.
It's not Rockets go into physical assault every game mode yet.
No, it's not.
When's the league dropping my suspension / non-fine? I wanted to mention the Kings, but that I got carried away. That Rockets Heat ending, like this team who the NBA refuses to punish.
Yeah.
Like I got on my high horse about Fred VanVleet threatening a referee, getting in his face, and the league's like $25,000 fine. And then like Tari Eason tried to run into the stands and they're like $20,000 fine. And
Amen Thompson with a hip toss.
Dude, Ime Udoka acting like he like squares up. He like puffs up his chest and shoulders like he's acting like he's gonna fight the referees to try to intimidate them physically. League's like $25,000 fine. And now like Fred VanVleet got called for a 5-second call, gets ejected. Then Amen Thompson just throws Tyler Hero like a rag doll. And then all the Rockets guys are like, I don't think anyone actually ran on the court, but all the assistant coaches ran on the court to try to break it up. They're all looking to fight. So Fred VanVleet got ejected. Ime Udoka got ejected. Some assistant coach I never heard of got ejected. And they're all acting like they want to fight the refs.
Right.
And it's just like at some point, NBA.
It's a basketball game, guys.
You got like I remain surprised they have not punished these guys even more. Perhaps I can say this is why you're supposed to punish the guys in the first place, because this is clearly like the Rockets feel like, I don't know, they're a bit out of control. Also, speaking out of both sides of my mouth, I adored the bench of the Rockets watching the replay of the fight. Like Dylan Brooks and Steven Adams just kind of grinning, Tari Eason pointing and laughing at all this stuff. Great stuff. No, what do you want to ask me?
Okay. What if this is just kind of being tolerated? Because why not? Because there's not enough teams with personality.
Sure.
And this is a little bit of that thing. What if they're allowing the Rockets to answer the call of, where's my physical NBA? Where's the guys that always wanted to fight and didn't like the other team? Now I think that's all pretty boring, but what if, Keith, what if it's a manufactured gimmick?
There we go.
Right.
But I mean, the league isn't putting the highlights of the, they're only putting Ja Morant highlights out. They're not putting out the highlights of, here's Amen Thompson tossing Tyler Hero to the ground.
How many games for that?
None. No one gets suspended. Who was the fight the other day?
Nurk got 4 games.
So, Najee Marshall got more games.
4.
And I was confused because Nurk was the instigator. Smack.
Palmed his head.
But then the NBA actually released a follow-up statement to the suspension, letting us podcasters know not to get too carried away with our criticism, that Najee Marshall apparently took it into the tunnel in the locker room. Like he tried to get involved. So, okay.
After.
That makes sense for the after.
You can't escalate it after.
No, yeah. The NERC. I mean, this is all post-holiday stress, right? This is just, everyone's a bit frazzled, it seems like.
Everybody's sick.
Everybody's sick from watching they had their NBA Cup watch parties. They all got together. They went too hard. Too many Mick Ultras.
They had a 2:00 or 4:00 dinner to watch the Cup.
Going back to the Kings and they're being unsettled. And I was going to say Mike Brown got fired less than approximately 12 hours after he sort of pointed out that De'Aaron Fox blew the end of the game. They lost. Yeah. I mean, they lost incredibly on a Jaden Ivey 4-point play. They blew a massive fourth quarter lead. Jaden Ivey gets his 4-point play where they're up by 3. De'Aaron Fox is not guarding the 3-point line. He's inside the paint. Or he's off the 3-point line, and then he has to close out to the shooter, jumps, fouls, whatever. And Mike Brown's like, well, there shouldn't have been a closeout because obviously you're not supposed to be guarding. You're supposed to be already you're guarding the 3-point line. Layups can't hurt you. So Mike Brown says this and is fired the next afternoon. So obviously we're thinking, okay, did De'Aaron Fox thumb on the scale? Or, I mean, De'Aaron Fox is a clutch guy. Is Clutch weighing in on like, listen, we got to do something. Trade my guy, fire my coach, do something. Like, are they going to trade De'Aaron Fox? Are they going to try to trade Sabonis? Like, what do the Kings even do? You have been accurately dropping De'Aaron Fox going to get traded. I don't know, a little asides. You've been doing it for a month, and I've been batting him away. I've been saying, no, you can't trade De'Aaron Fox. He's their best player. He's young. He's exciting. You can't trade him. So I agree. They're going to trade him?
I mean, I think so. This is probably the beginning of what's going to be a reboot. You know, they got their guy, Doug Christie. He's the coach now. He'd be a perfect guy to lead a tank. And I think if you were going to do it, now's the time. The one issue they've got is apparently Doug Christie and Sabonis are really close. So what does that do? Because I think, like I've said for the last 2 years about this team, like Sabonis is the guy who limits their ceiling. You know, if he's one of your 2 best players, you're not going to be good enough. And it's not that he's not a good regular season player. Certainly, like he's fine. He's like Dale Davis. You know, it's a great player to have in a regular season. Okay. Well, come playoff time, man. You ever got any Dale Davis playoff highlights?
Yeah, dude. He was making Patrick Ewing miss game-winning layups.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'd love to see Domantas Sabonis make anyone miss a layup.
You just spoke to me like 2 of my favorite players of my childhood were Dale Davis and Antonio Davis. Oh, I love the Davis bros, man. Those guys were incredible.
So anyway, Sabonis isn't good enough is really the big problem. But I feel like this is going to happen. I mean, and you mentioned, I don't know, there are teams out there that have assets. Like what would be funny is, the Thunder could trade for De'Aaron Fox.
I mean, the team that I think a lot of people are talking about that is like really kind of exciting is like the Spurs. The Spurs are like, you know what? Wemby's ready.
He is ready.
So like, what if we work something out to get De'Aaron Fox in here? Unfortunately, they can't send Harrison Barnes back as matching salary. They have to wait. They have to wait longer. Could the Grizzlies get De'Aaron Fox for John Morant? I'm just kidding. I'm gonna bleep that out.
Don't do it.
John Morant hasn't played 5 games in a row in over 2 years. All right.
Wow.
No. Yeah, De'Aaron Fox, it seems like the Kings would, I don't know what you do and like who the
he's the best player available if he's available. I mean, by far. And I mean, this is for any team looking for a play because he's so young and he's, I mean, I don't know. You know, obviously the way Clutch operates and honestly, the way the NBA operates, you got to know you can extend him before you make a trade for him.
What would be the proper reaction if I get an alert on my phone from like an NBA newsbreaker and it's like,
you get like alerts on your phone?
It's like Keith's wife has changed representation to Clutch. Like how? Like should I get nervous? Like how should I feel?
You should be calling the divorce lawyer.
I should be like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What? It's like yeah. Yeah. Hey man, your wife, your wife is now represented by Clutch. It's like, oh, I thought, oh no.
Yeah. You got to get on like LinkedIn and start looking for higher paying jobs. You got to fire your coach, I think, Keith.
Grizzlies have several Clutch players. Also, Clutch agency helped the Grizzlies get their Robin Hood jersey sponsorship.
Ooh.
Just throwing that out there. Just throwing that out there. It's all publicly available knowledge. Not sharing any
by the way,
secrets.
Something I noticed the other day. Spurs, no jersey sponsor.
Yeah.
It looks so nice.
But that's not a aesthetic choice. That's them failing to get a sponsor.
I know.
Which is weird when you have Wembanyama, international superstar.
Right. I don't know. Maybe they're holding out.
Dave, let's answer a listener submitted question. It is now time.
Do it.
This is
any questions?
The croissant questioner.
Are you going to finish that croissant?
All right, Dave. Mike wants to know, who is the Ricky Henderson of the NBA? Of course, Ricky Henderson passed away recently. All-time great baseball player. I'm not a baseball guy, but I, of course, have a lot of impressions of Ricky Henderson. This is a very hard question for a couple of reasons. Based on my memory, Dave, based on childhood Keith going to elementary school, everybody loved Ricky Henderson.
Yes.
Maybe this is because it was pre-internet when just trolls existed and there'd be loud Stephen A. Smiths yelling like, I don't like this guy. Everyone loved Ricky Henderson because he was cool and he was amazing and he stole more bases than entire teams.
Yeah.
So that part of it makes it hard. So I don't.
Too many of the great NBA players were like unlikable.
Yeah, it has to be a great player, but he wasn't. I guess again, if we're trying to come up with who is the NBA equivalent of Ricky Henderson, he wasn't the best player in the league. He was just a specialist who was so far better than everybody else at one thing, and then also he was a great defender. I mean, he's a great outfielder. So he was that too, but he was just so good at stolen bases, so he had a unique skill. So that part of it,
he was a good leadoff hitter, and he hit with power. I mean, he was a very, very, very good,
very great player.
Probably for a large chunk of his career, probably one of the top 25 guys in the league. I was a baseball guy growing up.
Yeah. So the only current comparison I have to do, I feel like fuse multiple players.
Sure.
Here's what I'm thinking, because I think about how he was statistically just lapping the field.
Yeah.
And so that brings me back to season 11 star of Fastbreak Breakfast, Dyson Daniels, who is lapping the field on steals.
Yeah.
By the way, the only two players this season with multiple 6 steal games, Dyson Daniels and DeJounte Murray, the guy he was traded for.
Yeah,
DeJounte Murray picked up his second. Dyson Daniels has 6 of those games. So but Dyson Daniels is not one of the best players in the NBA. No. Also, personality wise, I don't know anything about him.
He's
I feel
Australian.
That's about it. Personal life, Australian.
That is a personality trait if you know enough Australian.
So I would have to fuse. So now I'd have to fuse Dyson Daniels with a big personality. And this is where I hit a brick wall. Current NBA basketball personalities, I can't even think of who is the player most people think of as the coolest. And I'm I have
Ja.
I have no clue. I don't think it's Ja.
I don't know. It's definitely not Shea.
But it also has to be someone who's funny and quirky and also slightly not self-aware. So part of me thinks if you could take Dyson Daniels and fuse him with Dion Waiters' personality.
Yes, or Nick Young.
Young personality. Something like that. So that's the closest I could do. I have to do the Frankenstein in the lab.
Yeah, I was thinking more historically, who's the comp.
Okay.
As a player, Isaiah Thomas comes to mind, but just because it's probably just because of the way he played, But nobody liked Isaiah like that. And again, Ricky Henderson just had this vibe too. He also, he played on one of the coolest teams ever. That late 80s Oakland A's with the Bash brothers with Jose Canseco and Mark McGuire. I don't know. It's tough.
So I think
it's a good question.
I think of one of Isaiah Thomas's teammates, and I feel like it almost works. And I feel like Dennis Rodman kind of works.
Maybe. Yeah.
Dennis Rodman before Spurs, Bulls kind of wipe out. He was
great defender.
Super, what's the word?
And likable and had a personality.
He was very likable, very unique, very different, but also was better at defense than everybody.
That's it.
And was better at rebounding. I was kind of thinking of a later Pistons player. I was thinking of Ben Wallace, where Ben Wallace he couldn't do anything offensively necessarily, but everyone was like, that's one of the best 30 players in the NBA, and he's the best defender by far, just because he's so dominant on the defensive end, just grabbing rebounds and owning the paint. So that part of it, and he was fun. And I think people thought he was cool.
Yeah. I'd be curious to see what other people come up with.
So I have texted basketball/baseball historians, friends of mine. I texted Kelly Dwyer, Sean Keane, and Joey Devine. Both of them, Joey, an A's fan.
Yeah.
No one's texted me back.
No response.
So that's maybe they'll follow up with something that I mean, Sean did
Joey,
reply.
Drink a Red Bull.
Sean did reply that he felt like an ABA player. Of course he does. He feels like legendary guys you read about in the ABA.
Yeah. Is he Dr. J?
Yeah. I mean,
you know what I mean? Like when it comes to like the perceived cool,
Daryl Dawkins type, like.
Are we just going to name guys now?
Let's name some guys. No,
David
I want to go back. I want to go back to who is in the current NBA, Dave. Keith asks, who is cool? Who is thought of as the coolest player? Every player I think of, I'm like incredibly not cool.
Kinda corny. Yeah.
I'm always corny. Like just so not cool.
I mean, again, I don't want to be the old guy talking about young guys, but like, I think that it's hard different for me to relate to being so young and so like broadcasting your life for all of your life, right? Like that's why it's all feels so performative. But as far as being cool, honestly, do you know who's gotten to be cool?
Who's this?
LeBron.
Honestly, LeBron I'm not ever coming across. I mean, like, all right, yes, you post on Instagram corny. About reading books. Corny. That part's corny. But like, yeah, he does seem to carry himself real well. And the guy I'm thinking of who seems cool to me, maybe this is just my own personality, is Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, well, yes.
Because he does his own thing. He just does his own thing. And by the way,
he's my favorite player.
He might play basketball this Saturday. Yeah.
Did you see the video that they made, the New Balance commercial?
I haven't.
He's fishing. Okay, go watch it. Okay. He is so obviously not really interested in talking in the video. But I thought that it was pretty funny that he, essentially made a joke out of how much time he just missed, right? Like hey, been fishing.
He's got good people. This is not the right
comp. Got a life outside of basketball.
This is not the right comp. What about Draymond Green for Ricky Henderson? Draymond Green, more, of course, disliked universally, more of a firebrand, but it kind of works for me because he's a Hall of Famer.
He's more of Dave Henderson.
See, now I know that's a pitcher, but that's all I know. He's a pitcher, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Joey, if Joey hears this, please text me when you hear that.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Mike, for the great question. If you want your question answered on air, you have to be a Patreon supporter. Do that at patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. Also, if you join at patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast, you can check out the bonus episode that I released on Sunday, answering even more of your questions. I really enjoyed going through the first year coaches and saying which one did the best job and which one is maybe the most likely to get fired of those. So if you want a bonus episode from me, if you want to join our listener Slack channel, all of that, patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. Also, by the way, another thank you to the patrons. Thanks specifically to Power Patron Patrick Kirkner for letting me know about a podcast. I did not know that the Amazon original Patriot by Stephen Conrad had a companion podcast. He let me know about that in the Slack channel. I've been listening to it, and it's incredible. I love it. Thank you, patrons. Everybody else join up. Patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast.
Unfamiliar with the Patriot.
You got to watch it, Dave. It's incredible.
What is it? What's the?
It's on Prime Video. It's on
Quick
Prime.
And Dirty. Can you give me like?
It's about a spy.
Mel Gibson Patriot.
It's about a spy who's depressed and wants to write confessional folk songs.
Modern.
It's hilarious. Yeah.
Is it modern or?
Yeah.
Okay. It's not like a Revolutionary War spy.
All right, Dave, it's now time for the awards section of the program. This is the International Stackhouse of Pancakes Award given to the worst performer in a box score. This goes back 12 days. So we have some doozies. Guys who are just honorable mentions. You would have won perhaps in other shorter time frames. Honorable mention, Jalen Wilson, 1 for 11. Steph Curry, 2 for 13. Malik Monk and Keon Johnson, 3 for 14. Bradley Beal, 5 for 18. Brandon Miller and Kyrie Irving, 6 for 21. And Kyrie Irving, not to be confused for 6 for 21, also 6 for 25. But our 3 nominees, Dave, is they occurred in the last 1.67 weeks. Scotty Barnes in a loss to the Rockets, 2 for 15. 6 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, 2 turnovers, 3 personal fouls. Next up, Jaren Jackson Jr. in a loss to the Thunder, 1 versus 2 in the West. It was not fun to watch. I mean, the Grizzlies were missing Ja Morant and Zach Edey and Aldama and whatever. But Jaren in that game, apparently unaware, Isaiah Hartenstein's a good shot blocker. Jaren Jackson Jr. was 3 for 17, had 13 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 3 turnovers, 4 personal fouls. And finally, Vasilij Micić of the Hornets in a thrilling overtime loss to the Zach LaVine-less Chicago Bulls. 1 for 13. 7 points, 7 assists, 3 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 turnovers, 2 personal fouls. So Scotty Barnes, 2 for 15, 6 points, 10 rebounds. Jaren Jackson Jr., 3 for 17, 13 points, 5 rebounds. And then Micić, 1 for 13, 7 points, 7 assists.
Oh, it's got to be Jaren.
I think we can throw out Scotty, even though it's a worse field goal percentage, but 3 for 17, more rare than 2 for 15. Scotty's other numbers are pretty good. We throw out Scotty. We're facing down with Jaren's 3 for 17 and Micic's 1 for 13. 1 for 13
is pretty bad.
I would have to check the record books. I don't know if a 1 for 13 has ever escaped without getting an eye shop.
But is it enough of the other negative stuff?
I mean, only 2 turnovers.
How many fouls?
2 fouls. I don't mind 2 fouls.
I don't mind 2 fouls.
You're playing basketball. Yeah, you're playing basketball. Jaren's 3 for 17, 13 points, 5 boards, 4 assists, which is not bad.
That's not bad.
One steal, 1 block.
You know what? Maybe I have a bias because I watched Jaren in that game.
It was
and
uncomfortable.
He was worse than the box score.
Hard to watch.
He was worse than the box score.
Yep.
He looked like he was drowning, Keith.
Little bit was. The Grizzlies' newfangled offense, where it's like, hey, Jake LaRavia, beat your guy off the dribble. Didn't work against the Thunder.
No.
I'm torn. I guess I take the coward's way out, maybe split it. I think if Jaren won, though, we would have been like 3 in a row for Grizzlies, because I think, won the last 2.
Yeah.
3 for 17 is very worthy. 1 for 13 is very worthy. We'll do a split vote. Congratulations, Jaren Jackson Jr. and Vasilij Micić for some truly horrible numbers.
Really bad. And again, Jaren's game was worse than those numbers.
Good job there, guys. Dave, a couple more Wemby notes that we should mention. As Wemby becomes the face of the league, very cool. Wemby doing the chess in Central Park, going out to me. Is Wemby the coolest NBA player?
Okay, no. I'm out on the chess thing. Oh, I'm out on the chess thing.
It's too contrived?
Man. Well, look, man, we got to go do this huge press event.
Dave, here's
the rain. Now,
for me, this is the key difference. I think, I could be wrong, I could be deceived here. This is like whenever I like got mad at people for like praising like these feel good stories that were written about people. I'm like, that's a media plant for this one. In my mind, I thought it was organic. Is anything organic anymore?
Jordan Hauenstein from the Spurs is in the back of that video. I mean, which of course, like,
but he's going to be. It's a Spurs player. My understanding is there was no press release sent out beforehand.
Oh, meet us there. I got you.
Wemby tweeted, "Where can I play chess in New York?" Which also was very cute to not know. Like the most famous Washington Square Park is like the chess. You know, that part was cute. And then, so my read of the situation, it was organic. He said, "I want to go play chess." Didn't even know there's like a world famous,
and the PR people didn't pull it together.
And my understanding is from like Molly Morrison, who works for Bleacher Report. She's in New York, sees the tweet, goes out there. You know, like there were not New York Times writers there because they knew about it beforehand. Was anyone from The Athletic there? I don't know.
I didn't look into the coverage beyond the video.
So it felt akin to the very organic Kevin Durant wanting to go play flag football like 10 years ago. And he did it. And no press people actually got there. He just said on Twitter, I want to play football. I want to play football. And someone's like, "Are you serious? You can come play on our flag football team." Like, so to me, it felt organic. But of course, if I find out any news organization was emailed by a Wemby handler beforehand, I'm out. Yeah, it's awful.
I did not get that email. You have to ask Hiken. But I just don't trust any of that stuff anymore. My least favorite part of it is, I don't care. Look, man, chess is fine. Whatever. Wemby's then like, "Oh, let's have a chess tournament."
I'm going to get a Bleacher Report. I'm going to get a Bleacher Report graphic that's just your face and says chess is fine. Whatever. Like, what are those big memes?
It's another overrated game, man. Where, if you're into chess, you think it's, the end all be all. I like boxing.
Here's an argument for Wemby not being the coolest NBA player. The sort of flop he did that almost caused an entire ruckus and revolt, where he got Andre Drummond thrown out of a game, and the officials rescinded an eject. It was just a second technical foul. But I've never seen a ref so misread a situation, and that's saying something. Where like they were Drummond and Wembanyama were sort of shoving, really. And they got like Drummond picked up an early tech, and then Wemby. Yes, he gets stepped on, but he massively flops. I believe Wemby got an unsportsmanlike flop tech added after the fact, which I didn't even know they could do. I mean, I don't know why I would do more of this. So
I would love to see that.
That detracts from Wemby is cool. Also, by the way,
flopping.
We can close with a classic Dave and Keithism. I don't know if you even saw this, but there was a play on Monday night in the Cavaliers drubbing of the Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
Where Evan Mobley fouled / blocked the shot of Jonathan Kuminga. By the way, Jonathan Kuminga has been on an offensive tear.
Yeah.
First player with McHale with at least 34 and 9 off the bench in consecutive games, but
going to be great in Miami.
The Cavaliers challenged this foul and they won the challenge. And on the play, I'll try to describe it to the audio listeners. On the play, Kuminga goes up strong as if for a dunk. Mobley tries to block it, but hits Kuminga's right arm. Clearly, obviously hits Kuminga's right arm. The right arm moves to a degree where Kuminga says, "I'm not going to dunk. I'm now going to try to double pump this."
Right.
And when he double pumps it, then after going through Kuminga's arms, Mobley's hand hits the ball. Foul called. Evan Malloy, bang, foul. Cavs challenge this. I'm watching this in slow-mo. And I'm like, and I have Evan Mobley on multiple fantasy teams. And I'm like, let's get a block. Let's do it. Give me a block here. Let's do it. And then I'm like, oh no, that's a foul. He clearly goes through Kuminga's right arm before getting to the ball. Obviously, because I'm talking about this, the call was overturned. And this is the second time this year where I've seen a thing in slow-mo that I'm like, oh, no, he went through the ball. The other one was, I can't remember who made the play, but it was a steal where the player hammered a player across the midsection on a reach-in to knock the ball away. And I was like, oh, well, he hammered him in the midsection. And after he hit the ball, the follow-through made the guy double over. I'm like, that's a foul at every level of basketball. And so now that play was called legal play because you hit the ball. And this play was called legal play because you eventually hit the ball. My mind is blown, Dave. And I'd like to be clear. I support that play being called not a defensive foul because that seemed good. But like, to my mind, that changes every other foul we've ever seen. And I come to you now confused and lost and not sure what's going on.
If you got your rule book by watching the NBA, you wouldn't know what a travel is. You wouldn't know what a legal screen is.
True.
I mean, on the Cole Anthony game winner.
Yeah.
And listen, people can say that Ben Simmons pushed De Silva into the guy when De Silva was cutting across. I don't care. That's neither here nor there. Tristan De Silva set an illegal screen to open him up. I mean, so the NBA is not. It's not a basketball league. It's an entertainment product. I don't get what's entertaining about going to the review in the first place, especially here. You actually, you got the call right. Why reverse it? It just doesn't make any sense to me. And then they will play in our face and won't reverse stuff that is so blatantly wrong.
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't know. I don't understand what we're doing. Again, I get rid of the replays.
Yeah, I'm a little lost.
Anyways,
the games are super long. Every Grizzlies game is the same length as an NFL game. I think we did it. The Cavaliers are amazing. The Wizards won a couple times. Good job, Wizards. Way to go. Because of Justin Champagnie. By the way, the Champagnie twins are a story. I got to see the long form feature on that. 2 identical twins who were undrafted in different seasons are now one's playing heavy minutes on the Spurs. One is now just looking great on the Wizards. He had he finished with Justin. Wait, did I get that right? Yeah, Justin the Wizards.
Yeah, got
a career high 31 points, made 5 threes against the Knicks. The Wizards took the Knicks to overtime. The Wizards for the game, their shooting splits in regulation, it was 53, 47, 100. Wasn't enough to win. Poor guys. Wizards won some games. We're having some fun. Of course, Kawhi Leonard's coming back. Dylan Brooks is going to go for his 4th straight game of scoring 22 or more. Hasn't done that since December of 21. Kudos to him, Dave. Anyways, Happy New Year, Dave. Hope you have a great time.
Happy New Year.
Listeners, you guys are the best. Thanks for listening. And remember, breakfast is the most important thing.
Yeah, never apologize for being G&G. Fastbreak break, man. You understand?
I will remember.